Hi everyone, welcome back to part 2 of the Essential Wooden. Let's go ahead and jump in and see what we can learn.
Look at Bill. Stop. Give it to him. Over the top. Over here, man. Over the left.
Your first NCAA, and I said I'm a slow learner. But you see, once I learn something, I have it down pretty good.
I tell my players to be quick, but not to hurry.
You know, so in part 2, he kind of opens it up and he's talking about pressure is healthy. It can lead to improvement, but stress is unhealthy. It can lead to mistakes.
Give us some examples about this. I feel like this is a widely, what's the word that I'm looking for? Often confused, I guess, feeling or experience in life. Some will argue that, oh, you have to be stressed out. You have to do 500 million things. That's the measure of you being a productive human being. But introducing pressure as an idea, something that's going to force you like a piece of coal into diamond, as opposed to drive you into insanity or into the ground.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
You know, to me, I feel like pressure, I think of stretching yourself, is doing something maybe that's a little harder for you, that you have to, it doesn't come easy, but it's good for you. When I think of stress, I think of, typically when I'm stressed, it's like I have too much on my plate.
Lack of sleep or just not.
And I'm trying to get so much done at one time, and what ends up happening is I end up making mistakes or missing something, or mistakes happen. You become sloppy, or you try to make shortcuts. I don't know. I just think that pressure to me is challenging yourself, and stress to me is just unproductive. And
I totally agree. When I think of pressure, imagine a deadline where suddenly you have a project that you're comfortable doing in 4 or 5 days, and you've just received word that you have 2 days to do it.
Okay,
That's something that I feel could be positive. That's going to push you outside of your comfort zone, maybe find ways to delegate, or I guess improve on your process, as opposed to, I forgot to do this, it's due tomorrow, and now I have to stay up all night. I think that's mostly considered stress, and I really feel like he does a great job of explaining both of those in this particular part.
absolutely. The next thing he talks about, or he actually quotes Abraham Lincoln.
I like this one a lot. This is my favorite.
It's really good. He goes, "You can learn something from every person you meet, even if it's what not to do." And that's so true. And we all been around people, and not only in our personal and professional lives, that maybe aren't the best people to be around, but we can learn from them, even if it's what not to do.
I would say I'm most grateful for some of the more difficult leaders or managers that I've worked with in my life, in my professional career, simply because the difficult experiences that I had in those situations made it extremely clear and obvious what not to do in the future. And I almost say that there's an equal amount of value as seeing a positive leader such as Coach Wooden teaching you the way to do things correctly. That lesson is just powerful.
But Cody, I think sometimes it's easier said than done. Sometimes when you're in those situations and you have a tough manager, you have a tough leader that you're working with, sometimes it's hard to see
the lesson or the
value. And so sometimes it's retrospect. You kind of look back and think, maybe I could have used that more as a learning situation. But now learning this and hearing this, and I feel like we can take it away and we can redirect our mind and our thoughts when we're actually going through this in the moment.
Because the only reason it makes sense to us now is because we read the book.
We read it.
So thinking back, like, wow, that was a really great opportunity for me to come out of my comfort zone or out of my shell and help shape the way that I will behave or the way I will treat others or interact with family, friends, coworkers, anybody. Really powerful stuff.
What a more positive way to look at life and look at people that you have to deal with on a day-to-day basis when instead of going in and dreading working with this person or being around this person, it's like, could be an opportunity for me to learn something.
Yep. I think that frees you from the chains
Yeah, absolutely.
of discomfort.
Another thing he talks about is be hardest on yourself. Make the standard of performance your behavior in all areas so exemplary that those under your supervision will find it hard to match or surpass.
Going back to pressure again, what a great way to create positive pressure for your peers.
Absolutely.
If you're willing to come in and give it your all every single day and show up, be the absolute best person that you can possibly be, that's going to create it for everybody around you.
Absolutely. Getting 1% better.
My favorite, personally, just from my experiences with leaders that I really admire in the past and what I try to emulate now, they talk about Coach Wooden as somebody who didn't just tell them how to do something, he would show them. And to me, it's just so powerful, so impactful. Coach Wooden was on the court with us demonstrating, even though he was at least 40 years older than us. Age is nothing but a number, right?
Yep.
This means something to see him out there doing it himself. And
Yep.
I hold on to that so much because some of the things that have allowed me to become the person that I am, like working on cars or solving problems, I still feel like without that, I would not know how to do anything else. So nothing brings me more joy than to be side by side with individuals that are actually doing it.
Yeah.
Because that's the message that I'd like to portray.
Yeah.
I'm the same. We can
Right.
do this together, you know?
You know, isn't there a saying like, and which I don't think is correct, is do what I say, not what I do.
Definitely.
That's not.
Yeah.
That's not what we should be doing as leaders, right? You should see what I'm doing, see my actions, and that should portray what I'm saying too. It should be the same. And so I think that's important.
Yeah, if somebody could just see the actions that you are doing and not hear any of the words that you're saying, they should
Absolutely.
clearly know what your priorities are at heart,
Absolutely.
simply by the way that your actions are being portrayed.
Yeah, because if that's the case, then you're speaking out of both sides of your mouth. You're doing something different than what you're,
Yep.
saying you're going to do. Which,
That is a good way to
how
think
are
of it.
you going to get people to follow you and be a leader when they're getting mixed messages? I think that's important as a leader.
Do the things that you say you're going to do. Yeah,
Absolutely.
so weird. Where did that come from?
I think our core principles at
Okay, cool.
CAG.
Just making sure. Let's talk about failure again.
Okay.
That comes up very frequently because it's something that Coach Wooden not only uses as an opportunity, but uses as a foundation
Yeah.
for taking it to the next level. Knowing what to prepare for is, of course, the first thing that he brings up. But he kind of breaks it down into 3 little chunks, and if you don't mind, I'm gonna take
please,
these
take
because I
it.
really love these. But,
Take it away.
failing to prepare is preparing to fail. We've all heard that from grade school, and it's just as true now as it was then. Failing to prepare for failure, however, can also prevent success. That's something I've never heard before and really hit home when I read in this book. And
So,
then,
what do you think that means? Can we talk about that real
Yeah,
quick?
definitely.
So, if you're to me, that I took that away as if you're looking at trying to avoid failure, most likely you're going to run into, you're going to hit failure.
We're all going to get it. Yeah.
I think this is a lesson that I was teaching my 8-year-old how to ride a bike. And she kept on looking at the car parked on the side of the road. I was like, stop staring at the thing that you don't want to hit.
You're
because
going to
if
end
you're-
up over there.
If you're keep staring at it, you're going to hit it. And that's
Yep.
kind of the same thing he's saying here.
Yeah.
Right? If we prepare for failure and we focus on the failure, we're more likely to achieve failure.
Yep. And conversely, you have to expect that it is eventually going to happen, and it can't crush you or derail you because it is natural and necessary. So say
Absolutely.
you think everything's going to be perfect. Let's take it back to last year. We thought there's no such thing as a pandemic. We'll never have any of these issues. Everyone's healthy,
Yeah.
no worries at all. We assumed that we'd continue on the same level of business with the same just unlimited amount of opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
And boy, were we wrong.
Yeah.
Who could have imagined? But that's the perfect example. You can't ever assume. You have
No.
to have a plan. You have to be ready.
Yep.
So really, really cool. And then the third one, in any context, whether it's basketball or business, what happens after a missed opportunity, mistake, or failure is crucial. You have a choice
Absolutely.
in those moments, how to react. You can take it as a lesson, or you can outwardly portray your frustration or disappointment.
Yep.
Which one is going to serve you and your team better? That's a great question to
Yeah.
ask.
Learning from it.
Yep.
That's going to serve your team better.
Even the split-second facial expression that you may have when you receive that bad review or somebody on your team makes a mistake. If your first reaction is to be upset, angry, or just plain frustrated, what example is that going to set?
Yeah, it's not a good example to our team or to the people that work for us or to the people that look up to us.
Yep.
You know.
If you could flip the script and ask, what could we have done better? I feel like that's just the most disarming thing, as opposed to taking the defense, I guess, in a situation like that. So great lesson,
Absolutely.
a really great lesson.
But yeah, know what to prepare for. I think John Wooden did a great job. I think we talked about this a little bit in part 1. But when Wooden, his practices, he wrote down on note cards minute by minute.
This
like,
is before
what-
smartphones, everybody.
Yeah.
So there was no notes app in your iPhone for
Right.
this.
But he wrote down minute by minute of what they were being doing and the drills and
Yeah.
everything that they were doing. And he even talks about, he wrote everything down, kept track of all kinds of stuff during practice and games. What gets measured gets done.
Yeah,
And so we got to prepare. We got to prepare for those things. And I
Absolutely.
think he did a good job.
great lessons. Thank
Yeah.
you, Coach Wooden.
So that kind of wraps up part 2 on this series, and we'll see you again at part 3.